I wanted to become a writer early in my life, and mostly because I was such a good reader. Well, by good I mean avid.
College.
Yes, I was praised. I don't know about. I wasn't urged to become a professional writer, but I was praised for my student work.
Was the praise important to you?
Sure.
So far.
Well, I'm mostly a short story writer. I write short fiction and short nonfiction. I don't write anything long, and I don't write poetry, though I wish I did. So that's what it is. Essays of not much length and stories of short or medium length. Well, of course, rejection never stopped me, but it does halt the progress of success. If you don't get a story published for a while, it's an obstacle to overcome, as you say. And also, eating is a problem. One does have to make money in order to eat, and when I started writing, I was not able to support myself. I'm still not able to support myself, but I have this nice rustling man who does it for me. To me, quiet and not being disturbed is important. Privacy is not quite as important. That is to say, if I have another quiet person in the room with me, I will not be disturbed. But I do need quiet, and I do need the feeling that I won't be disturbed unless the house is on fire. Yes, I started writing when my children were young in the basement next to the furnace, and gradually went upstairs as they went further out. I went further up.
And you had no problem finding your own space?
No problem finding my own space, because I was satisfied with rather little. I would agree with that, I just haven't experienced it.
I see.
But I think, had I experienced more of a struggle, had I had to teach, or had I had to do something else and carve out time for writing, it might have been a benefit. I agree with your other writer. I have a colleague to whom I show my writing before I try to get it published, and she is who I have in mind whenever I write. If she is pleased, I am pleased. If she is not pleased, I go back and revise. She is an excellent reader, as good a reader as I know. Well, yes, I think urgency in fiction is quite important, that a story should seem to need to be told, and that the reader should have, if you can influence the reader in such a way, the reader should want to hear the story as it goes on, want to hear it even more. You said something else that I didn't quite agree with, and I can't remember. Could you repeat?
Listen to me, or
whatever Joan Didion said.
See it my way? That's the other thing.
Oh, persuasiveness. I don't know that I'm ever trying to persuade anybody of anything. I haven't got any strongly held tenets. And Joan Didion is much more of a political writer, so I can understand that she would want to be persuasive as well as urgent. I think it is intangible. I think the opposite is probably something you can more touch, and that is when a writer is not successful or doesn't feel even herself that she must be listened to. Then you probably get a sense of that, not indifference, but timidity from the prose, which may be slack or without flavor. Mm-hmm. It comes from all over the place. It may come from a story may come from a dream, or an observation, or an actual anecdote, or something that happened to me, or something entirely invented. So I take what I can when I can. Yes, I have a recipe box, 2 of them in fact, And they're full of phrases and ideas for stories and people who might appear in a story, all those things. My favorite writer is Dickens, and he certainly has inspired me to become a writer. I don't try to imitate him, though. There are many, many short story writers who I admire a lot, and I think every one of them has influenced me in one way or another. I have an idea for a story. I think about it for a while. I make an outline, almost as if I were a high school student writing an essay. I then fill in the outline with prose. I then realize that the outline is all wrong, and much of the prose is wrong, and I start again, but the original idea is still there. And so on, repetitiously and inefficiently, until I get something I think is right. Oh yes, many times.
Do you enjoy that?
Oh yeah.
Do they speak of specific works, specific characters?
They do. They ask questions as to who inspired this character, where did you get that idea, what made you think that? They sometimes are critical. They're a pleasure to talk to.
Can you usually answer them?
Usually, but not always. I can't think of an instance at the moment, but there have been a couple of questions that I've said I'll just have to think about that. That question is often asked, and my answer is always the same: read. Just read. Anybody, anything. Yes, and after a while, read what particularly pleases you. Read somebody you would like to write like. Read people who you don't like, because their work is instructive too.